Hello and welcome to A Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Stick with us a couple of seconds and we'll tell you all about our northern New Mexico adventure.
And we're back, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Just making sure.
And we're live.
And we're live. And everything's good. Did we get a notification sent out?
It did Man in the Barns in the House.
All right.
Eric Schmidt.
Great. All right.
Brian
and
Eagle. Hi, guys.
Brian Eagle. So we already have two of our moderators in the house. Our moderators, let's see. Oh, this is, I forgot the best part.
Wait a minute.
Housekeeping.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we know. Now we know where we're at. Thank you, moderators. Jimmy Fast, Man in the Barn, Joel Lewicki, Jason Eunice, and Brian Eagle. And we have Jason Eunice, Brian Eagle, Joel Lewicki, and Man in the Barn in the house already.
Wow, almost a full house. All we
thank
need
you,
is Jimmy
gentlemen,
Fast.
for showing up and being a part of our show today. We appreciate you. Our presentation today will be followed by an open Q&A, and our presentation is mostly about where we went this weekend. Right?
Yes, it's all about where we went this week.
Okay.
So I need you to talk a little bit about...
You need me to talk about that,
No,
miss?
you don't need
Oh.
to talk about that. I need you to talk about something else. I'm going to make the
Okay.
transition so we're out of the way. Okay,
Yes.
we ready?
Okay.
Surprise launch?
Ready.
Okay, we're there. Okay, guys, so this was our recon for this last weekend. We'd call it Central Northern New Mexico. I can't at the moment be any more detailed than that because we're not ready to reveal the location in its entirety. If you spend a little time with what we're about to talk about, you will be able to deduce the location for yourself. But we want to... So do me a favor. Tell me if you guys can see my
Cursor.
right now. If you can see it moving. Keep a watch eye. So this is the location that we're talking about. We call it Central Northern New Mexico. This is the state of New Mexico land responsibilities map from the Bureau of Land Management. It gives you a good sense of who's
Said no.
responsible.
No.
Pardon? They can't?
Can't say it.
Okay. Well, then I won't try. So you can see who's responsible for the land. The land that we were on searching this last weekend was United States Forest Service land, so public lands. So this is the area in more detail. We came to the conclusion that we were going to have kind of like the attack on a bridge. You had to do it from both ends of the bridge, but in this case it was both ends of the canyon. So our plan was to drive up on Saturday and use what we referred to as the eastern approach and head up the canyon headed west from the east. And then on Sunday we reversed the process and used the western approach and headed east. The plan was to head east from there. So we want to just give you a sense of why we ended up looking in both directions. So this is me picking up Shelley and Kevin at their house. I had rented a four-wheel drive vehicle. Normally when they give me when I rent a four-wheel drive vehicle, I get a Ford F-150 4x4. This time, for some reason or the other, for the same price, actually for less of a price, so I take it, I guess. I got this gas-guzzling Ford F-250. And I have to tell you more about just getting in and out of this truck. It was literally part of the adventure for us short people, especially us short old people, to get up and down from this truck. So I had to pray to Jesus each time to make sure I complete the process. But it was a great vehicle. It did everything, pretty much everything we wanted it to do. So Shelley wanted to take a photo of us at some point showing the Recon team, so we did that for her. We're the two ugly guys on the side. She's the cute one in the middle. We decided that as always, part of our adventure is getting some photographs that are of interest, maybe to us and not to anyone else. But you can't go up into these locations and see some of these sites and not say to yourself, that's just as pretty a picture as you can make. It's rare, and I had a special affection for this particular Catholic church because it was San Miguel Catholic Church, and my middle name is Michael. And my son's middle name is Michael, and my grandson's middle name is Michael. And Jason and I both attended St. Michael's High School in Santa Fe, so we're big St. Michael's fans, if you will. So we thought it was just a beautiful church and a beautiful location down in the valley. The other thing that was interesting to me is that we made the transition from what you see kind of northern New Mexico bottomland with a sagebrushy kind of look into the pines and junipers, and it was a very rapid transition. There was no point in the weekend that we were above the tree line, but there was a sudden transition between this kind of look, cottonwoods down in the bottomland and sagebrush, into what I'd call a more coniferous,
More foresty.
more foresty fenny.
And Riverside.
Foresty, yeah. So it just was an interesting and very rapid transition between this. Just up the road from this was a cemetery, and our curiosity just had us stop. And it was a very old cemetery. There was no new burials in it, and it had overgrown. It was in disrepair. Some of the monuments had been knocked over and broken. We found two curious things there. Number one, we found all these monuments, they're not called monuments, but tombstones, to children in it. And the dates were really weird because they were all, from 1 year old to about 5 or 6 year olds. They were born in the 1900s, but they all passed away between 1909 and 1912. So we looked it up, and the flu plague of that era didn't occur till later. But something else came through here, because there were dozens of these memorials, these tombstones to children, and they were all around the same time frame. 5 and 6 year olds who died sometime between 1909 and 1912. It would be interesting to go back to that area and do some additional research. This was also interesting to me. So the first thing that attracted me to this monument, to this tombstone, was all the Templar and Masonic symbolism: the 5-star symbol, the 8-star symbol, the crescent moon facing up, the Templar cross, are all symbols of both, not only the Knights of Templar, but the Knights of Columbus and the Masonic ritual organization. What are the Masons? The Masons. But what really interested me is that the last name on this tombstone was Espinosa with a Z, and that's my mother's side of the family. My mother's maiden name is Delgado, and her mother was Espinosa, and the Espinosas came from northern New Mexico. As a matter of fact, we still have property in the Espinosa name up above Abiquiu. So it was interesting to see an Espinosa there. All the names in this cemetery were Hispanic, and what was interesting is a lot of them, you'd see them in Santa Fe today. There are just a lot of these names, and you could go back and use it as a research, because this was so old. She was born in 1873 and died in what looks like 1914. But the other thing that I thought was interesting is her name was Nievecitas, which is the Spanish word for little snow, which I just thought was a beautiful name for what I think may be one of my relatives. So we found this house, and it was kind of brown, so we had to stop, of course. It was right on the river. It turned out to be a pump house, and Kevin did some online research while we were there. We were still getting cell signals while we were here, and it turned out to be a pump house that literally had this 4-inch pipe that pumped water all the way up the other side of this canyon to the canyon rim or the ridge line, and the water was used to fill the tank that was further used by the Cumbres and Toltec Railroad, which we just thought was a real interesting connection. There was, we could have calculated the amount of effort that it took. This was the pump. It was, of course, by this time disconnected. I don't know how they get their water there now, but this was the pump, and you can see it's a pretty good sized pump that used to pump the water from the river up to above where the Cumbres and Toltec Railroad was. We did see several, I don't know if I'd call them mines, but they really were holes in the side of the canyon on the opposite side that we felt like had something to do. This water wasn't pumping. The water pump wasn't being used, or the pump house wasn't being used anymore. But we thought it was interesting that it was that you could see several of these. I don't want to call them mines, but they were definitely man-made holes that had something to do with that, we guess. So there are special trout waters on this particular river. I didn't get a chance to fish. While we didn't get much snow down here in New Mexico, and I think we'll experience, a corresponding spring. The water was high in the Rio Grande a couple of weeks ago when we were up there, 3 weeks ago, but not as high as it usually is in the spring. These guys are experiencing these waters are actually experiencing the snow melt from the Rocky Mountains, and they did get a lot of snow. So although generally speaking, this is a pretty good trout fishing river with a big brown population, a German brown population, it was pretty much unfishable at this point just because it was running fast. There is a gauging station on this river. Kevin looked at it, and it had been as high as 500 cubic feet per second, when the average in August is 20 to 40 cubic feet per second. So it was running pretty deep. It wouldn't have been worthwhile either to try to fish it or to try to cross it, which was one of our problems. So we found an area that was darned interesting to us, but from this eastern approach, we discovered that you get to a point where you cross into private property. And we don't cross into private property. If we had wanted to, we could have continued west on a hiking trail, but that hiking trail would have gone north of the private property and west from there along the edge of the ridge, but it would have been a difficult 4-mile hike, and then of course you'd have to return to get to what we considered our search location. Am I leaving anything out here?
No.
Okay. Well, you stop me if I am. Okay. Anyway, the river has two very distinct sides along this area. One side is relatively flat and has coniferous trees, a lot of very nice campgrounds actually. And then the other side has rock face like this. And at first I saw a lot of little tiny niches that looked like they were carved out, man-made, niches. They turned out to be just what I'd call voids in the rock. But there's lots of places on the other side of the river, both at this location and further upriver, to hide things. But like I said, the water was in a place right now where I don't think it would have been worth crossing. So Shelley used the trip up there to read a book on the tarot, and she bought a set of tarot cards. And no, Amy, this doesn't have anything to do with video tarot.
But it was an inspiration.
Well, no, it was definitely an inspiration. And at this point, Shelley was waving her cards about the river, and I asked her what she was doing, and she said she was charging them with natural energy. What was really fun is while she was doing it, she was waving them around. She was going, woo, 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 like her woo-woo story of last week. So it looked kind of woo-woo to me, but it was an important part of our trip. So, and who am I to tell my partner that she's crazy?
Yeah, because look at the card I drew the next day.
Yeah, exactly. So Kevin had decided that what he wanted to do was go up the side of the ridge. It wasn't a difficult climb. I think I could have made it had I wanted to be as crazy as Kevin. But he wanted to see where it led west from where we were and see whether or not the trail that they had indicated on our topographic map was realistic. And he came to the same conclusion, that was that although there's a trail there, it is effectively a trail that runs along a cliff face. And you'd have to do that for, at least from this point, you'd have to do it for 4 miles total, but you'd be on that cliff face for 2.5 to 2.5 miles before you got to our insert point. So, but it was a great picture. So we took a picture, and we decided to call it a day. At that point, we spent the night north of us in Alamosa at the Best Western Hotel, and very well priced, 60s to 70s. For some reason, Kevin got the 60s, I got the 70s.
Because we had the AAA discount.
Oh, okay, all right. So, but it was a very nice hotel, very clean, very well appointed. The beds were great.
Next door to the IHOP.
Next door to the IHOP, which is important for breakfast. Although they did serve breakfast, you can't. You're 20 feet away from an IHOP. So, but Alamos is a nice little Colorado town. We go through there a lot when we've been further north in some of these recons for us. We had dinner at the True Grits restaurant, and all the dishes. It's a steakhouse, and they made a great steak. All the dishes have what's his name? John Wayne themed things like
all the movie names.
The Chisholm ribeye,
Comanchero.
Yeah. So, and that lady sitting behind us over there that looks kind of angry. Well, that's because I borrowed her husband to take the picture that you see. That she wasn't angry. They were very nice. So we got back up the next day, and we were going to try the Western approach. And as you can see, that truck, the step up to that truck is about as high as one of our legs. So we had a bunch of short people, getting up into this truck. It was really a riot. There was a point at which I felt like I had done it enough that the next one was going to require some sort of ladder. I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were going to say miracle.
Yeah, it was a very tough. Yeah, it could have very well been.
You kept praying for those.
Yeah. So my strategy was to grab that handle you see behind Kevin's head, grab the handle, look up, ask Jesus for help, and then kind of take 3 bounces and up. So
and it worked every time.
It worked every time. Yeah, I couldn't complain. And it was pretty graceful considering when I picked it up at the Enterprise location, which is literally 5 minutes away from me. When he drove up with it, the guy that handled the transaction was a really tall, football player-sized guy, and so when he got out, he was pretty graceful, And so I don't recall ever having to, since I was in the military, probably getting into a deuce and a half, and it kind of had steps. I hadn't recently gotten into a truck this side, so my first attempt at this would have been the equivalent of watching a 5-year-old kid climb up onto a bunk bed. I can't describe it. It was graceless. And at some point, he said to me, "You need some help?" And I thought what he was going to have to do at that point is just push my butt up onto the seat. So, but I got better. I got more graceful with it. So, but it was right. It was just a really big truck. So from Alamosa, we had to go south again down towards Antonio, and then from there west, and then eventually onto the forest roads. And the forest road was just in perfect condition. It was well groomed. It definitely didn't require a 4-wheel drive vehicle. It was very confidence building, but there were some beautiful views. It's still winter up there. The trees haven't started budding or anything. I mean, there's still it's beautiful country, and I'm going to show you a couple of
there's
slides.
A lot of aspen up there. They didn't have any leaves on them yet.
Yeah. So they're still experiencing winter, and I'm not sure that we got some of the mountains in the background. But so this is how most of the roads looked. Literally, there was a little bit of spotty snow on the sides of the road, but the roads were clear and groomed. And like I said, up until this point, I would have said we don't actually need a 4-wheel drive truck. I mean, we could have done this in my Sorento. My Kia Sorento is an SUV, but it is a 2x4. It's not a 4x4. And I would have felt very comfortable going up there in that vehicle. The 4x4 wasn't absolutely necessary. So, so you can't tell this from this image. We hit this spot, and this spot was straight downhill. We came over the top of you'll see it in the background. So we came over the top of that mountain there, and made the turn into this. And what was right above, in front of us, was this north-facing slope. and it hadn't received enough sunshine for it either to melt or for it to be groomed, if you will, for lack of a better description. And as I said, this was a downhill slope. It was a significantly sized downhill down into the valley where we were headed. At this point, we were about 3 miles away from our target area. So Kevin and I decided to kind of scout it. We went down. He went, as he got further and further down, the mounds got taller and taller. And as you can see, we're standing on top of them. They weren't snow. They were packed snow with an icy crust on top of them. But he got down to about the 4th one that you see in that image. And basically, it was a hill that was followed by a mud hole. And so the conclusion that we came to is that we could probably make it down, but there might be difficulty making it back up. And since I had a rental vehicle and I didn't want to get stuck down there in a rental vehicle, we decided not to proceed any further. Our guess is that it's going to be at least another 2 weeks, maybe a month before this particular part of the snowpack is completed. You can see up on the hills behind us over there, there's still snow on the hills, but they're all southern facing, so it's melting. This one never got any sunshine because it's northern facing, and so it's going to be like that for a little while longer. The plan at this point is to head up there. I'm going to go back up there on my own in about 2 weeks to see if it's made any progress in terms of the melt, and it's going to need some grooming because what's in between each of those snow mounds is a mud hole, effectively. So they're going to have to fill those and groom them, or we just play 4-wheel drive. So
he said there was about a 4-foot drop off of one of them.
Yeah, off that number 4 there.
Just so you don't want to go. What's that?
That's a 2018 Nissan Frontier.
And why is that? Why is that there?
Because I bought one last night.
You bought that last night?
Well, I traded my 2x4 Sorrento in on this 4x4 Frontier because if we're going to keep going back up there, A, we're going to need a Frontier, and B, I'm not going to rent another Ford F-250 to gas guzzling 250. So I went and traded in the Sorrento for this.
Well, you are very serious, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's time to get serious about this stuff.
All right.
Plus, it's the 4-door, 4-wheel drive, 4-door, 5-foot bed. So it's got what I call a Recon crew cab.
Oh, Recon crew cab.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that was.
So help Toby pay for his new truck.
Wait. I need to. I need to make a transition here,
okay,
so we can get back into position.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
There we are.
Okay.
Very cool.
So
it was a good weekend. We had a lot of fun. A lot of driving. We didn't get out much because the weather wasn't great. We didn't get to fly the drone. It was too windy. We took a few pictures with our cell phones, but beyond that, it was just a lot of driving, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a long drive up there, and then you spend a lot of time on Forest Service roads. So to go, 13 miles from what is effectively a paved road to your point of interest, if you will take you an hour, along the Forest Service roads. But again, I'm going to say the Forest Service road that we were on was very well groomed, very comfortable. You could have done it, come springtime and after that pack is melted and after they've groomed it again, they've graded it. I guess it's not groomed. That's a putting green is what they groom. They've graded it. It'll be a lot easier for a 2x4 to get up there. There's no reason to have a 4x4. But I felt like considering the areas that we've been in all over the past couple of years, every time we want to do something additional over and above what we planned, there's a 4-wheel drive component that I'm not comfortable with that I wasn't comfortable with in my Sorrento. So I thought it was time. It was 5 years old, so time to trade that baby in.
Apparently.
So. Okay.
All right.
So you want to do some chat?
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right. So as you all know, for any of you that have been here for a while, there is a button down at the bottom of your iOS, Android, and desktop or laptop screen. And when you raise that, you'll see a $sign. That $ will enable you to make a small you can make a contribution of any size that you want to our campaign to find Fenn's treasure, and to create more informative content so that we can help you find
And
Fenn's
pay
treasure.
for that truck so we can get up there.
You don't have to pay for the truck. I can pay for the truck.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I wouldn't do that. Yeah, you have to help me with the truck now. So no, you don't have to help me with the truck. Super Chat also takes your question and highlights it and raises it to the top if you have a question that you want to do that with. Okay. So I'm going to put us off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Look
we're
at the
gonna
chat.
leave that image there, but we can start looking at chat. Okay.
You don't want to. Oh, okay.
What were you gonna say?
You're just gonna leave that up forever?
Yeah, as
Oh.
opposed to what?
Yeah, I don't know. Your new truck.
Okay,
Show everybody your new
I
truck.
I can do that.
No, I'm teasing.
Okay.
Show what you want to show.
So we're gonna open up chat.
There it is.
I'm gonna go up to the top so you can start. Okay.
All right, and let's get into our chat with greetings to everybody, including Man in the Barn, good day, Eric Schmidt, Brian Eagle, Jason Eunice, Deborah Jensen from New Orleans, Dr. Brown from Colorado, Joe Lewicki, he's excited about the Recon report, Cindy Guess, An Average Person, William Ortiz on the couch in his underwear, at least he's not naked like some of our others.
I'm just happy he let us know. And now I have to
Great
get that
visual,
image
right?
out of my head.
Okay. JL, good afternoon, everyone. Spring is on the way for us northern searchers. Yes, it is. Bill Cross is here from
Hey, Bill.
Texas. Why must I go?
Hey, Why Must I Go? So Why Must I Go is Troy Barlow, and Troy is going to be our guest on this Wednesday's panel. So we're going to talk about his YouTube channel and what kinds of plans he has for it. Maybe he'll tell us a little bit about his search strategies and where he's going this coming spring. So good to see you, Troy. We look forward to talking with you on Wednesday. We have a full house worth of panelists, so
Yeah.
it'll be fun that night.
Denise Bagley. Eric Schmidt says that's too much information, William Ortiz. Brian Eagle. Gang's all here. Lori James. Buenos dias. Gary Sandberg. Hello from Seattle.
Hey, Seattle.
Yeah. R.F. Hecky. That's a new name.
What she said?
It's Susan.
Oh, okay.
She changed her name.
She changed
Susan
her name.
Hecken Liable changed to Hecky. We're just
Yeah.
going to call her Hecky.
Becky from now on.
Or-
May I say
or
a
Susan.
couple of things? Number one, there are a couple of you that already do this, but when you enter the room and introduce yourself, tell us where you're from. We like seeing where everybody's from. It's really neat to see the we've got Seattle, and if Joey Perro comes in, we can have New York, and cover the entire continental United
Yeah.
States.
And then all in between with the
Yeah.
Texas and the High Plains Drifter from the 46th state, which is
Well, it's let's see, Alaska, Hawaii, Arizona,
It comes right before New Mexico.
Arizona.
because we're 48,
Ugh.
right?
Yeah, we're 48, and Arizona preceded us. That's 47. Wow. I'm going to guess Wyoming. I don't know. Let's say Wyoming. What's the 46th state High Plains Drifter? 46th state.
We should know this.
No,
Joel-
whose daughter? Oh, Tom's daughter. My granddaughter, Marie,
Mm-hmm.
won a geography competition while I was in town last week.
Oh, very nice.
Or week
Was
before
it the National Geography?
No. It
competition?
was local Northern Virginia.
Was it to qualify to move up?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Oh, because
should
my
have.
nephew was in that. And he actually went all the way to D.C. in it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he's a city planner for the city of Denver,
Well,
Colorado.
that's how that
So,
worked out, huh?
You know.
Yeah.
All right. Deborah Jensen. AGK, what is your take on the word it in the poem?
Deborah, I've seen that question before. I literally, and I hope I'm not disappointing you. I did the analysis early on and came to the conclusion that, and what you may or may not agree with this, but the conclusion I came to is that Fenn, using the word it, was referring to the venture, right? The adventure of finding the treasure, taking it in the canyon down, take your adventure down the canyon, etc., etc. So that's all I could come up with. If you've if anybody comes up with anything better, I'd be happy to hear it. So.
And Sea Monkey Vacation is here, and Bully Legion says that's his backyard.
Oh.
And
Well, you live in you have a very nice backyard.
Too.
You know what? Excuse me. I'm going to go back. I realized what you were asking me before, so I'm going to go back and do what you wanted me to do. Just give me watch this. This is what.
It's always nice when people do what you want them to do.
This is what you wanted me to do. I know. That's what you wanted. Right? That's why you were asking me if I was going to leave that screen up. Okay. Just hit me with a bottle or something. No. Just say, look.
I don't always know what I mean either.
Okay. So. All right. We'll fix that.
All right. We need to move up. Now I'm at the bottom. JL to the top. No cursor.
Okay. Yeah, I've got to figure out how to solve that problem, Joel Lewicki, because there's lots of presentations where I want to point out certain things, especially on the map.
Lori James, Virgil Kane from Iowa. Land responsibility map. Thanks, AGK.
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Brown.
You can get one of those for each of the western states. The big one. The one that shows the entire state. And then, as we talked about in our map little FAQ, I think it was, you can get them broken down by areas.
And Journeyman's here from Missouri. William Ortiz.
The Show Me State. I went to basic training in Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood.
And Sherlock Holmes had an early day and excitement for the big reveal today. Big reveal of where we went. And that you bought a new truck. All kinds of revealing things. Exciting. That thing is a tank. It was very large, but it was a comfortable ride and roomy. And once you got in it.
Yeah, once you got in it, it was
good
an
stuff.
Amazingly good vehicle.
Yeah.
I think I spent about $100 in gas on the weekend because I don't want to say it was a gas. It was actually, for its size, it was far more efficient than I expected it to be. But it was huge. Inside was the size of a, large SUV. So there was a lot of room.
But it didn't have the, fancy big tires. So
That was the other thing too. That was one of the other things that affected our decision, is that it didn't have all-terrain tires on it. It had 6-ply road tires on it. They were big, but we just weren't comfortable sliding down that hill and not being able to get up.
Gage Cockerham says he has a F350 and loves it.
I want to buy an F650.
And William Ortiz got a F150 because a 350 I would have to eat hot dogs.
I would have to eat hot dogs. So, yeah.
Okay. And Holy Schmoly's here. Hello. Dagmar did it. Hi. Is that the one in Too Far to Walk with Forrest standing beside a tombstone?
No, William. No, I don't. There was nothing in there that indicated that would match. We just thought it was interesting. When you go up to these places, we believe part of our responsibility is to, collect memories other than, Fenn's always saying, to enjoy the hunt, to do other things, take the kids out. We're not all on our texting machines, and we've been out in nature before, but there's kind of an additional responsibility to ourselves to go out and see things, to stop and see things. And Shelley will tell you, this wasn't exactly the nicest touring weather. It was cold, it was cloudy, it was windy, there was intermittent rain. But when you see a cemetery that's right up the street from this beautiful church, and you see that some of the places that it's unkempt and uncared for, and some of the tombstones have been knocked over, you just can't help but stop and go through it and find things, and there's always information in it.
Super chat.
What's ringing? My phone's
Your
ringing.
phone's ringing.
Okay.
We got a super chat.
Oh, thank you. Who is it? Question below, Scott K. All right, Scott.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. So
there was a little note from Kevin that said super chat.
Super chat.
Apparently he's watching
Is
as
he in
well.
the room?
He must be.
I don't.
He's off today. He's on vacation, getting ready for our trip.
Okay.
He just hasn't said hi yet.
So we're going to have to get down there because I don't see it on this page for Scott's question.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to go down.
Okay.
So, where were we?
Land responsibility map.
Gauge.
Oh,
Holy
it popped
schmoly.
up. You know what? We popped up again. So, Jason. Hey, guys and gals. We were at Dagmar.
Susan,
See, we're Dagmar.
Dagmar, Virgil Kane. Virgil Kane said it could have been typhoid or cholera. Why all the children died.
Oh, it was something. I mean, we imagined all the possibilities from smallpox to typhoid or cholera, but it was very obvious that something had swept through there during the late 1900s. Not the late 1900 through about 1912, because it took all of their children. Well, I shouldn't say all of their children.
It took a lot of
their
them.
children.
Yeah. Blaze Gazer is here. Gary Sandberg says great pictures. Jeremy Milstead is here.
Oh, by the way, we've put all the photos on a Gypsy Kiss blog, so you can see the entire album. I didn't show you all of the photos today because some of them were redundant, but I took all the photos and put them in our photo albums on gypsyskiss.com.
Mm-hmm. Jason says Z versions of Spanish surnames were used by Sephardic Jewish families.
Yeah, any family, any Spanish family who has a Z in the end is either Sephardic Jew or their families lived in southern Spain during the Moorish occupation. It was the Moors. So, for example, Rodrigo was the Spanish name that the Moors changed to Rodriguez. Espina, spine, is the name that the Spanish name that the Moors changed to Espinosa. Martinez, all of this. Anytime you see a Z in a Spanish name, it is very likely that they come from the lower half, the southern half of Spain, and their families were influenced by the Moorish occupation from the 700s to the 1400s. The Moors were there. I used to tell my mother, she used to get really mad at me, that the Spanish wouldn't have any culture if it wasn't for the Moors. Just to make her really mad.
William Ortiz, do I see barbless hooks on the sign?
Yes, barbless hooks, artificial lures and barbless hooks in special trout waters. And catch and release.
Jeep Girl Jody's here. Brian Eagle says more like photo tarot.
We do like taking pictures. As a matter of fact, those photographs that you see and the ones that are posted to our blog were taken by all three of us. All of us are shooting, just because it's just such interesting area. You can't ignore it.
Oh.
It's hard to ignore. And I'd go up there. I would go up there to go trout fishing anyway, but having the treasure hunt is another reason to go up there. It's not an easy drive. It's not a day trip, I would say. It would be a tough day trip even for a fisherman. But from where we are, from Albuquerque, it's about an hour shorter from Santa Fe. And as a matter of fact, if you do the calculation, Fenn could have gotten there in 2 hours and some change. So that's one of the things that we look at.
Dr. Brown wants to know what card I drew. On Sunday, I drew the Seven of Pentacles, which I found interesting because, as I told you last week, that Fenn is a 7 and pentacles are coins. So that was kind of cool to see that. But what it means is that you are on the right path, but basically you're just weeding the garden and you're not going to harvest yet. So we did some scouting, and we were ready to know that we weren't going to get all the way to what we wanted. We were there to see what the path looked like rather than, to get all the way to the end of it.
Here's what I can tell you about this area. If it says Fenny, an area, it's as realistic in terms of what I imagine Fenn would, where, let me see, this place was easily where I could imagine that Fenn would imagine where he might find his special place. And considering the number of recons we've made in New Mexico, when we left there, although we didn't get all the way in, just our traverse from the highway and through that bottomland up into the mountains and onto that road, it really struck me as having a great deal of potential. And in terms of my ranking of locations in New Mexico, right? Because we search in New Mexico. In terms of ranking my locations in New Mexico, this has now moved to the top, and that's why we will spend more time there. It was just... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We got another super chat
Thank
from
you.
Dr. Brown. He wants to know where he can buy some pentacles. I'm not quite sure. They're just pictures on the cards,
Yeah.
but they might be actual coins out there somewhere.
Yeah, there might be something you could call a pentacle.
Thank you for the super chat.
So we'll just refer to there from now on, because it pops up here, and we can just...
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Did you ever get to Scott K's question?
I didn't. I haven't seen it. Scott...
Can we just do this until we get to it?
Well, I can do I can't do a search on that. So Scott,
Let's see if we can find it on
do an @AGK and ask your question again, Scott, because we can't find it,
Well,
which is
might not
why
have
we
got there
use
yet.
Super Chat.
Might not have got there yet.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Brown, Jason wasn't with us to cross rivers this time on this recon. He had kid duties this weekend. But if he had been there, I would have tied a
Here we
rope
go.
around him and sent him across the river. Okay, oh, there it is, okay. AGK, I know you two are firm believers that only the first 2 or 3 clues can be found on a map. Aside from the little girl in India incident, what gives you the confidence in this theory? So, Scott, after 28 recons, I think it is, we did a video on this a while back on how to, it was discussing on how to put together your solution. The conclusion we've come to is that the first 2 clues, that is Warm Waters Halt and Canyon Down, can be found on the map because you need a starting point. And go back to this video. I won't bore everybody by repeating all of this, but you need a precise starting point, and the intersection of warm waters, the point at which there are warm waters, and that intersects with Canyon Down, gives you a precise starting point. Then what we've discovered is you have to visualize the remainder of the clues. You have to have a sense of what the home of Brown is and what No Place for the Meek is. You have to visualize them. But you're going to find that for as much visualization as you do when you go out on your first recon, you're going to discover the problem is significantly larger than you ever imagined, and that the things that you thought would fit for the home of Brown. I mean, there's a video on YouTube where the guy came to the conclusion that the home of Brown was Brown Realty along one of the roads up in the Hemis. There's another one in which the guy is reading what are effectively voids in the trees, places, and they spell out the letters, search here or something like that. None of that's, you're going to discover, as all searchers that go out boots on the ground will sooner or later find out that you're not going to be able to determine much. You can visualize, but you're not going to see them on a map. They're just you've got to imagine that the home of Brown, where you're going to put in, is so compact. It's so small in the context of what you can see on Google Earth that you just can't see it. I mean, it's not it's not a cliffside. It's going to be the size of a truck, and it's pretty hard to see the truck on Google Earth unless you're zoomed in a lot and there's no trees around it. Okay, sorry.
Woo woo.
What? Did we have a woo-woo moment there?
No, Jason said, good energy from a flowing river full of life, and what scientists refer to as woo woo. Woo woo.
We missed you, Jace.
I'm not.
And you would have been very comfortable in that great big truck of ours.
Did you deploy the drone? No, it was too windy.
We did. There were 2 reasons we didn't deploy it. As in the eastern approach, there simply wasn't any room. It was so there were so many trees that it would have been dangerous to deploy the drone, and I wouldn't get. I usually deploy the drone for one of two reasons. Number one, to extend my search area, or number two, to get some footage that we can use for another reason, usually in our outros. But in the first case, there was just too many trees. You wouldn't be able to use it effectively. And secondly, the wind. By the time we had gotten near our location, the winds were in the 20 knot range, and it wouldn't have been a good idea to fly. Plus, like I said, one of the reasons we deploy it is so that we can get a sense of what's in front of us in terms of the search, and we just never got close enough. I could have done that with the ice pack that we ran into, but Kevin went and scouted it, and it was obvious that it was going to be an issue. But the drone wouldn't have told us anything that we couldn't see for ourselves, and we just didn't get close enough to our insert point to deploy it. So that's why we have to go back up there.
Yeah. It's okay because it's real pretty. Seabunkification says, Alamosa, they went pretty far into Colorado. Couldn't find a place in Antonito. We could, but there's just a lot more choices in Alamosa and more restaurants. And we had the time. It wasn't that much further. It's not that far from Antonito to Alamosa.
What is it, 20 miles?
Yeah, it's not that bad.
And we had been through Alamosa, so we kind of knew it, and we liked going back to it.
Yeah. Think you should start interrupting Toby. I just didn't have anything, that different to say from what Toby was saying, so no reason to.
I'm going to ban him. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to ban him.
Rick Blankolo from Cincinnati. The truck you were in could do that with no problem. Well, now Kevin thought the same thing until he went down there and he looked at it and he saw what a big drop it was, and then we knew we had to come back that way. So that would be uphill on ice. And we didn't have snow tires, we didn't have chains, we did not want to get stuck, and we wanted to keep it safe.
Yeah, it was, we didn't think of it in terms of risk, in terms of danger and things like that. If we had to, we could have survived the night. I had emergency equipment, as we always do. I had food for 2 days for 3 people. We had water. We could have done it, but there was no point.
Right.
You have to get to a certain point where you make a decision like, is this worth the risk, or can we just turn around, go have a nice place to eat dinner?
Yeah, and it's not that far. We'll go again. We'll go probably many times, and the summer is just going to be so pretty up there.
Yeah.
I just can't wait because all those aspens are going to be beautiful when they get full leaves.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too, is come summertime, it's just going to be even more beautiful than it was when we were up there.
And David Charles Davio is here.
Jeep obstacle course.
We did have rental insurance, too.
Yes, we had it all.
We just, it's better to be safe than sorry.
So the guys over at the Enterprise here are very nice to me. They gave me great rates, and they brought up that when I ordered a pickup, I just assumed that all their pickups were 4x4s, so they brought up a 2x4 F-150, and I said no, I had ordered a 4x4, and so they found that 250 was in the car wash area, and they brought me that, and they gave it to me for the same price. So, which of course was made up by the fact that the gas cost me.
Yeah. And hello, Julie Smith, welder for hire. AJ says, hello all. You don't need to wait if you've got an 8-inch lift diesel Ford.
Yeah, yes. If it's your 8-inch
and those
lift
tires
diesel Ford and not Enterprises, I agree.
You want those good tires.
Which is why I went out and bought a truck last night.
So Man in the Barn says, if you find the treasure, are you going to write off that new truck as an expense?
You know what? I may not write it off, but I'll definitely pay it off.
Did we pop?
We did. Hang on. Let's see. So who gave us... So Doc Brown... Oh,
yeah, we got that one.
Okay, and we got Scott's.
Yeah, I think you went up too high.
I went up too high?
Well, no, back where you were. We hadn't even said hi to these guys yet.
Okay, go. Wait.
I can't because you keep moving the words.
Well, I'm still finding out where we were.
There's another one. From Vladimir Dex.
Oh, good one. So, find out where we were. while I'm answering this question
Okay.
because I got lost. Jason has a couple of questions that I don't want to miss.
Oh, okay.
So, Vladimir, the reason, so he talks about Yellowstone a couple of times in the book. He describes, I don't know that he discusses Yellowstone in The Thrill of the Chase any more than he discusses other parts of his life. As a matter of fact, if you watch our book club last week, we talked about In Love with Yellowstone, and actually the whole chapter entitled In Love with Yellowstone has 5 words dedicated to his relationship with Yellowstone. All the rest of the chapter is dedicated to other things. But to answer your question, the reason we're focused on New Mexico is we try to follow the Fenn died in December 2010 rule. And that rule basically says, imagine this, he writes The Thrill of the Chase, and then 3 months later he passes away. No Too Far to Walk, no Once Upon a While, no interviews, no scrapbooks, no nothing. All you have is The Thrill of the Chase. In The Thrill of the Chase, he writes, when he discusses where he hid the treasure, he says, I hid it somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe. And what I ask people is, if I had kidnapped your cat, and I called you and said you can have your cat back, but it's hidden somewhere in the mountains north of Santa Fe, would you be looking in Montana? And so that's why we stay in New Mexico. He told us it was in the mountains north of Santa Fe. We don't believe at that point in time when he wrote those words, without the expectation that there would be additional books, additional interviews, additional scrapbooks, etc., that he placed it in New Mexico. In addition to that, the idea was that he was going to publish 1,000 books and sell them all from Collected Works bookstore. That means he expected that it would be purchased by locals, people in Santa Fe. He spent from 1972 to the present in Santa Fe. It was he made a choice to go there. New Mexico was very good to him. It made him a millionaire in a field that is the most. He was the big gorilla in the most competitive art community in the world, and so New Mexico has been very good to him. And then, of course, there's the warm waters. The only definition that if you Google warm waters you're going to come back to is the New Mexico fishing regulations. And that all said to us, yeah, it's not in Yellowstone. I mean, I can give you a dozen other reasons why I don't think it's in Yellowstone, but we're not going to spend any time in Yellowstone. We're not going to tell people not to
Fenn
spend time
didn't
in Yellowstone.
discover the Rocky Mountains till 2013.
Yeah, exactly. That's another point. There's a video that we did, and it's entitled Forrest Fenn Discovered the Rocky Mountains in 2013. He never used the Rocky Mountains as a description prior to 2013. So let me go back to my rule. Fenn died in December 2010 rule. If Fenn had passed away in 2010, there would have been no one searching the quote Rocky Mountains unquote. They would be in the mountains north of Santa Fe, and the mountains north of Santa Fe to me are not in Wyoming or Montana. Did you find where you're at?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Where I had the cursor. And then you moved to
sorry,
thingy.
point to me.
Dr. Brown, AGK, probably all here already know, but just in case, remind about the special show tonight with Cynthia.
We will. It's going to be the last thing that we do tonight, Dr. Brown. So I saw a question from Jason. Well,
It's further down.
Vehicle? What a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise.
It's further down.
Especially to him.
So, David Charles Davio, what is your overall take on your Recon?
Our overall take on the Recon is the bad news is we couldn't get to our insertion point. The good news is I've moved this area to the top of our list. I believe this is the area. We've got a very specific point where warm waters halt, and we have the corresponding canyon down. We've got to get there and to the insertion point to find the home of Brown. But I feel like we have the right place now. We will spend our summer returning again and again to this location.
And Jason's question, I think you just answered about where warm waters halt and the home and in the canyon down. And
what was questions? The poem in your mind. Yes, Jason. We're very comfortable with our New Mexico fishing regulations definition of warm waters. The boundary point, the transition point in this case, was there in 1972 through through Fenn's presence. 1972 when he arrived in Santa Fe through the present. It hasn't changed. So we're very comfortable that we have that correct, and the corresponding canon down. We have, as you know, I've told everybody before that in order to start this, you have to have a geographically specific starting point, and we have that. We have a GPS, geographically specific starting point, and it intersects with Canyon Dam.
And Illinois Ghost is here, and apparently he won the coin contest.
Oh, I saw that. Congratulations, Richard. I want you to do me a favor and send us a photograph of your winning entry, and we'll make sure that when we talk on Wednesday, although we're going to be visiting with Troy, let's make sure that we talk about your winning entry, and people can get a look at the coin that you designed. Congratulations. We thought that was really neat. We're glad that our friend Mike Cowlings put on the competition, and we're glad that our friend Richard McDonald won it.
JM4N, I don't know that name. That's a new one. Hello. And let's see. South Carolina, that's where Scott K is from. Why Must I Go is from Florida. Gage Cockerham is from Northwest Montana.
Wow, nice. Wow, he's in a good area. Huh?
Lori James is from Salida, Colorado.
Oh.
My husband and I just love that place.
Yeah, we've been up there a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, Toby loved it too.
Yeah.
But we loved it first.
Right, you did. I mean, I think we ended up there because Kevin really liked the area.
Yeah. Jazz Winters from Iowa. Ron Creek, hello. High Plains Drifter. Jason Eunice, Oklahoma. What?
I have no idea. Oh, the
46th state is Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Jay Raz from Boulder. Oh, well, so is Dr. Brown. Right? No, he's from Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs.
Boulder, that's right.
Grass
Okay.
Valley, California. David Charles Davia. It's a pretty area.
Southern Metro Denver. Sir Crow. Hello to you from Southern Indiana. David Dow from Nevada City, California.
Yeah, High Plains Drifter, that's right. There's that little tiny panhandle part of Oklahoma that touches New Mexico.
Yes, Jason, it did feel funny up there, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm so Jason, it felt as fenny as any location. I had said that the fenniest that we'd had up until this point was the Cimarron Canyon. This beats that by a mile, and it seems to me to be more reasonable. And it's the kind of place he could gotten to and done all his stuff in a day.
Yeah.
And I'd bet as a avid fisherman, he would have been there before. This is great fishing up there.
Rob G's from Chicago. And Vladimir just came back from a search in Montana.
Montana's nice.
Brian Popelman. AGK, so you're giving up on the New Mexico fishing regulations for warm waters halt, or still using it just at the border of New Mexico and Colorado?
Brian, I'm not going to give you any additional information on my solution.
We have not given up on it, as we just said earlier.
Yeah.
Larry Sandell.
We're still going with the warm waters halt. The New Mexico Fishing Department's, the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish rules definition of warm water.
Larry Sandell. I don't know what. Electric Peak, Looking Down Quickly, Cache Lake, and Sepulcher Mountain.
I'm not familiar with that area. Larry, you're going to have to tell us where that area is.
Steve. Hello, Steve. Curious how long hours you search days are. We were driving more than we were searching.
Yeah. That was a drive. So we probably spent 4 hours, in this case, we probably spent 4 hours on the eastern approach. And honestly, the second day was a day of driving. Once we hit that ice pack, it was driving up there, never getting to our insertion point, and then driving back.
Yeah.
So
But normally, I'd say 4 or 5 hours. But this particular time, we couldn't actually get to where we wanted to start.
oh, there's Scott K's question.
Rob G's headed towards Montana. Yeah, we answered that, didn't we?
Yeah.
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 Jazz Winters says we are in the same area. Hello, Kevin.
Hey, Kev.
There he is.
We've been talking about you and what a great job you did this weekend. Getting me in and out of the truck.
What cool items have you found while searching?
Oh, I left it out. I found so I've always said that I've been out in the field most of my life for a broad variety of reasons. And I could never understand why every time Forrest Fenn goes out, he finds arrowheads and, what is his cache? Clovis points and things like that. I've literally never found anything. When we were up there, I found a flinted skinning stone. I found something, but I left it in the garage. I'll bring it next week so you can see
Show
it.
and tell.
Show and tell, yeah. I did find something interesting up there.
Kevin found a nickel and one of those little orange ball things. Whether you said that was
An indicator, nymph, French nymphing indicator.
And I found garbage.
But you found the energy for the
Yeah.
woo-woo tarot cards.
Woo woo. I had to bring my own woo woo. Edward Owen, better late than never, just got here. Hi from Boise.
Quick mix. Hello. Could Rich's new and old be referring to the Treasure State, Montana, or Old Mexico, New Mexico, New No? You know what? Those are both theories that have been passed around in the various forums. Quick mix. I don't have an opinion on the matter.
Craig Whittles enjoyed the photos.
Thank you.
Vladimir says hi. Let's see. The 9 clues in the poem. 9 is a huge clue. Okay.
So Vladimir Dex says, just once, interrupt Toby just to see what he does.
I interrupt Toby.
I give her the look.
He does.
No.
Gives me a look.
I'm jealous of all you live close to the awesome mountains. Troy, it's amazing that we don't spend more time up there because it's so energizing and refreshing. I mean, it's just beautiful. Even for the time that we spent up there this weekend, there wasn't, because of the combination of the weather and the stopping point and the drive up there, et cetera, we didn't spend as much time outside as we could have. But you're driving back and we're having this conversation and you realize the first thing that you talk about is how soon we can get back. So it really is very re-energizing to be out there.
Says Toby, Shelley, you, Shelley, and Kevin were truly in the wood.
Yes, we were.
Plains Drifter. Yep, it was nice. JL is from Bismarck, North Dakota.
Capital of North Dakota, right? Isn't Bismarck the capital? Yeah.
Sounds right. And you already answered that question.
Dr.
Timothy
Brown.
Alcar.
Jason, no doubt you're proud to be bait.
Timothy Alcar, what side of the Rio Grande were you on?
Timothy, we were not on the Rio Grande, nor were we on the Rio Chama.
We were west of it?
We were west of the Rio Grande and east of the Rio Chama. And so, yeah, and Fenn has already said the treasure's not in the Rio Grande. Okay, Toby's correct. You have to follow like a kid would. Yeah. We believe, Rob G, that the actual search area is under 1,000 feet in radius, maybe 1,000 feet in diameter. We don't think the search area is very big. As people find out when they end up. Let's see. I just lost this. Did we answer that question?
Which one?
The Vladimir Dex.
I think you did.
Okay.
You're going too high. Go the other direction. There we go. So we were here.
Jason, I can't tell you how many great memories are based out of things my dad has gotten me into. Is that a compliment?
Something with numbers. I want that to be.
Brown versus Board of Education part that you were reading. What do you think? I would say that is an amazing connection, and I haven't Brown v. the Board of Education. Gosh, I don't see the connection, David, just being honest.
Jason has a good question here.
What's that? Given the runoff, snowpack, and mud, do you think an essential seasonally isolated hide would be? Yeah, we actually discussed that on the way back, Jason. We think that, so let me tell you some of the conclusions we came to. Number one, as I said, we think that this has a lot of the things that Fenn would like to have in some place he called a special place. That's the first thing. The second thing is we thought it was Fenny enough, right? And it moved to the top of our search list in New Mexico. But one of the other conclusions that we came to, because this is the second time this has happened to us, you can't go in the springtime, and the reason is you can't ford. And in our case, we believe that in the case of this particular location, Fenn would have to ford the river north to south and then cross the river south to north in order to hide the treasure. And he would have had to have done the second one, the south to north and back, south to north. He would have had to cross that river 4 times. Now, Kevin went through all the trouble of locating the gauging station that we saw, and the average for that particular water in the summertime is anywhere between 20 and 50 CFS, cubic feet per second. The gauging station at this point was in the range of 500 CFS. So we ran into the same problem last year along the Arkansas River when we went about the same time, right? We went in April, May? To Salida. When did we go to Salida?
May.
Yeah.
Late May.
May, and had to go back and look at the gauging stations. When does this water go down?
Or was it June?
So there are 2 things here. Number one, you would have to deal with what are effectively sedan drivable roads if you didn't have to, if you had gotten past the melt, right? So these north-facing slopes would be melted. So that's the first thing. So you have to deal with that. Secondly, these roads are passable by, you don't have to have a 4-wheel drive vehicle if you weren't dealing with the things that we saw there, that is this snowpack. Thirdly, if you're going to cross that, if you have to cross that river and you're asking other people to cross that river, you want them to cross that river either via vehicle or on foot. When the stream rate, when the water rate is 20 cubic feet per second versus 500 cubic feet per second. We hit it when it was 500 cubic feet per second. We are, as a matter of fact, what was really funny is our worry. We knew that in order to get to our insertion point, we knew that we were going to have to ford that river. And our concern at that point, after having seen the river further downstream, our concern at that point was whether or not we would be able to ford the river, because the ford is at a choke point. And so it gets even higher, and although it's still only 500 cubic feet per minute or per second, it's 500 cubic feet per second in an area that's much narrower than the images that you saw there. So one of the conclusions we came home with is that it is seasonal, in the sense that if you're going to ford and or cross rivers, they have to be at a level that both of those are available to you as part of your solution. And we think in this case that would be necessary. You've got to go across that water once north to south, and once, depending on how many times how many loads it takes you to take the treasure and chest out, a couple of times south to north. So yeah, we believe there is a seasonal component to it.
We got money
Oh,
for another $9.99 from Vladimir.
Vladimir. Fenn says that whoever has the correct solve will know and move with confidence. Do you guys feel every one of your solves is absolutely the correct one for you to move with confidence? No. And the reason is we've discovered that boots on the ground changes the dimensions, all the dimensions, all the parameters of the search. We have a very good idea of where the various components are. We think the confidence relates to the fact that the search area is under 1,000 feet in radius, and that you'll be able to identify things that you believe what they are. But I don't see how you know what no place for the meek means by looking at a map. I think you have to be boots on the ground. Now, you may have envisioned it, you may have resolved it. We were looking up in Cimarron along Clear Creek and along the Clear Creek Trail. Our no place for the meek was because Reverend Tolby, after which a campground was named, Reverend Tolby had been assassinated at that point along Route 64. Of course, it wasn't Route 64 at the time. At that point along the road that follows the Cimarron Canyon. So we could envision that. But once you get there, you go like, where's the home of Brown? Unless you believe in beavers. And I'm sorry, I just can't get that beaver thing going. But yeah, you may be able to go with confidence. But he also said that you're not going to do this in one spring break. It's going to take multiple trips to your location in order to eventually get to that point. You're going to have to go one clue at a time. You're going to have to visualize the home of Brown, and then you're going to have to go down canyon and find that home of Brown. And then you're going to have to identify, visualize the no place for the meek, and you're going to have to go down that canyon, past your put into the home of Brown, and look for and find that no place for the meek that you visualized. So, yeah, I've heard him say that, but I've heard him say a lot of things that once you get in the field are honestly just plain stupid. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Just plain not rational. That's probably even worse. Never mind. It's none of my business what he thinks. I think that some of the things that Fenn has said discount having been out in the field and having to solve this poem. And is absolute proof of that, it's 8 years. Okay. So there has been no confidence in 8 years worth of searching.
Yeah. Mr. Rizzo, could Fenn have flown somewhere with the treasure, or do we all assume he drove? And he's from Idaho. I would say it depends on what you listen to that Fenn said. Are you going to listen to him when he said it took 15 years to write the poem and then he hid the treasure? Because that would place the hiding of the treasure when he still had his aircraft and he could have flown himself. Or do you believe more when he says, I was 79 or 80, which could indicate that he hid the treasure on his birthday, August 22nd, 2010? 2010. That in that case, he would have hidden it where he could drive his car. The number one thing, the issue with flying is, does it involve any other people? Because he's very adamant that only one person knows where the treasure was hidden. Only one person knows when he hid the treasure. But to do that, he probably didn't fly. Yeah. He probably drove his own car.
Flying creates both a paper and a people trail. You can't fly in America without leaving some kind of trail, and the flying makes it very difficult to do this without leaving that kind of both paper and people trail. Or as we like to say, the purple people. Paper.
Must listen good. AGK, what happened there? I interrupted. Is that good?
Oh, good one.
Good. Yeah. Because you were saying dumb things anyway.
Oh, okay.
Must listen good. What happened to Rio Chama, Toby? I thought you were going there.
Yeah, we did too. So that's what I had convinced my Recon team that we were doing, but I just couldn't make it work.
He says it's not in the Rocky Mountains.
It's not in the Rocky Mountains. It's not a stable warm waters halt transition. It just didn't have a lot going for it. So we had to change our search, our solution.
Man in the barn, following your advice, if you were sure the treasure was down there, would you have stopped everything you were doing and gone, or turned around? Like, what happened? Well, no treasure is worth your life. So we would have turned around no matter what. Because if both Kevin and Toby say it's not safe to do it, it's not safe to do it.
Yeah, when I say that, man in the barn, I'm talking about the reasonableness of not putting yourself at risk. So when I say people should drop everything they're doing and go get that treasure right now, the intent is that you not create the risk of A, recovering the treasure and then dying, because that doesn't make sense either.
Because then you end up in a song by what's her face? Isn't it ironic?
Yeah.
Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette. So we're very comfortable. I mean, the interesting thing about all this is we're comfortable that the treasure will remain there if we really believe, and we're like everybody else. We don't know exactly where the treasure is. We'd like to believe it's where we're searching, right? But we also believe that if it's taken it this long with this much effort and this many hints and all this other stuff, and it still hasn't been found, we're actually not worried that it will be before we get back there and we start looking. And the intent is we're not going, whatever recons we make for the rest of this search season will be in no other location than this one. So we're just going to keep, every time we go, we're going back to this place.
And it's a pretty place. So even if that's all we do and we never find anything there, it's okay, because it's a pretty awesome place to be. Eric Schmidt, are you going to buy one of Calazar's Fenn coins?
No. I'm going to buy as many as I need to leave marks all over
Is it like Bitcoin? Does it go up in value?
No, I'll probably... Mike's a good friend, and I love his ideas, and I'm sure we'll buy more than one. Because
we're doing the pump and dump thing.
I want to do...
Going to buy them all, and then we're going to sell them at a higher rate.
At a higher rate. I'll figure out how to monetize them. That I just set some people off.
Oh,
I
know.
Because they'll probably believe it.
If they believe everything we say, then they deserve what they get.
Okay. Yes, Eric will probably buy more than one and do what he planned, which was to spread them out. Single-engine turboprop aircraft, once owned, is generally accepted as a possibility, although there was a car at the end of the right. Owned.
What's that?
Yeah, Virgil, he does mention that a lot of small airports, including the airport at West Yellowstone, had cars available. The one in Lander we discovered did not. There's a good AGK video that goes into the possibility in depth. Yeah.
Did he rent a car? I think it was in there. It was about a year ago we did that.
Yeah, so take a look at the video called Forrest Fenn Did Not Hide a Treasure in 2009 or 2010.
And there was one we did about renting a car.
Oh, we did?
Well, that was more focused on the Moby Dickens video where he took 300 words to say yes or no.
Yeah. Could you just say you rented a car or not, and then he talks for 300 words?
That's right.
Okay, to extend the search area so that he had a few years of being sure it wasn't found too quickly. He may have waited to extend the search. Yeah, that's very possible. Yeah. Try. Okay. Let's see what else we got.
David Charles Davio hit a deer in Wyoming last year, but he's going to go back anyway.
Timothy Alcaria. Let's not forget that you quit New Mexico and chose Montana, then came back and ate some crow pie. Did we go to Montana? When did we go to Montana?
You and I? No, we went to Wyoming.
We've been to Colorado and Wyoming, and we went up there pretty much to disprove to ourselves that it was not as much to look for the treasure as it was to validate New Mexico. I mean, so I don't feel like I needed to eat crow pie on that one.
No, we checked it out. That way we can say it's not there.
And it wasn't. I have never searched Montana. I have been to Montana. But
and we did learn things.
Yeah.
We learned that airport never had a rental car.
Right.
And we also learned what a cheese wheel was.
Cheese wheel.
Cheese wheel.
And we learned how to pronounce Papoja.
That's right. We did that too.
It's not Popo Aggie.
Yeah. Did Fenn spend time in northern New Mexico as a child? James Parrish wants to know. I don't
know.
It's not in his book if he did.
Yeah. He never indicated there was a reason. I've never heard him say why he was so excited about northern New Mexico and Santa Fe, other than it was a hotbed for art and ancient artifact collectors.
And he loves the history of Taos. He
Yeah.
even talked about writing a book about it.
Yeah, and he's written several books on Taos artists. He was fascinated by them. Didn't he buy Fashions estate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He bought a couple of them. I mean, besides Fashion, he bought another one or two.
Okay.
Amy Smith likes my tarot cards.
Yeah, Amy, you can look for new videos on Video Tarot. I'm just teasing.
Get it, tarot. Ha.
A few years. Jason, Virgil Kane. Jason answering all this question. Very good.
Amy, I pulled the Seven of Pentacles.
Tell him what you pulled. Was it
Yesterday?
Monday? Was it yesterday?
Yeah. I
was
pulled the Queen of Swords and the King of Wands, or King of Rods, depending on which deck you follow. And we came up with some pretty good ideas, being very smart, like, I think I was represented by the Queen of Swords, and Toby was represented by the King of Wands. I don't want to tell you what I drew today, though.
Okay.
It was scary.
Okay, I think that is it, right?
Las Vegas and... Oh, James Parrish is from Albuquerque.
Oh,
DeCall Thomas is here from Las Vegas.
hey, DeCall. Who else? Oh, Mike Colling. Do you know Mike Colling? Mike
Tasha
Collins?
Ray is also... Oh, is from Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Who's from
Tasha Ray.
Oh,
Craig Whittles, Vancouver Island, British Columbia.
we just interviewed, at the B2B Expo, we interviewed this guy who had 4 or 5 radio stations, Spanish music radio stations in Las Vegas. Toby, where is your home of Brown?
From Private Linux. Linux?
I don't know.
Home of Brown, we don't know until we get there.
Yeah, we have probably 3 or 4 visualizations of what Oma Brown is, but we never know until we get to the location. That's one of those that we don't think you can get geographically specific until your boots on the ground. That's been our experience after 28 boots on the ground.
What is El Porvenir? Have you heard
just
of that?
outside Las Vegas.
Have you heard of
Just got home from El Porvenir. Sounds like a restaurant.
It must be one of those very small towns in that area up in
No,
northern New
I
Mexico.
think it's a restaurant. I don't think there's a town named El Porvenir.
Oh,
I think it's a
I
restaurant.
don't know. Okay, you got to
So you're
quit
gonna have to tell us.
moving around without
Sorry.
telling me.
What I was trying to do was find the slider. Okay, hang on. I lost this again.
I'm not reading until you're done moving
Okay,
that thing
all
because
right.
you're making me crazy.
Sorry.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for where we're supposed to be. I lost track.
Oh, well, here's Anonymous. We haven't seen that one, so.
Okay. Go down. Jason's making jokes.
If you can't Ford, can you Chevy? Ha 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 ha.
Oh man, we have a long way to go here.
Okay, we're like here now.
Okay, so there's Jason talking about pentacles to Amy Smith. Did we get that? Okay, there's DeCall.
7 of Pentacles, yeah.
Okay, so let's go. Got it.
That's right.
Edward Owen, AGK, would not the thrill of the chase have the hint to say where warm waters fall since Fenn? Yes. And what was interesting is he was once asked a question, it was 500 years from now and all you had was a poem, could you find the treasure? And he said no. So yeah, we think the hint, at least one of the hints in the book, tells you where to find warm water salt.
Dagmar did it. Forrest said he has a gut feeling it will be found this summer. Do you think that is a hint that it can only be found during the summer because of snow?
Wow, Dagmar, you came to the same conclusion we did, right? He didn't say it's going to be found this season, this spring, soon. He very specifically said he had a gut feeling it was going to be found this summer, and we think that reinforces the question that Jason asked earlier, do you think there's a seasonal component to it? Yes, we think it's a summer solution. I just made that up.
And I just decided that he hit it on his birthday in 2010. So August 22nd would be a prime time to find that treasure.
Prime time.
Prime time.
Okay, tell me where you're at.
I'm down in here looking for things for us.
Yeah, Dagmar did it. Yeah, that Jason confirmed what I just responded to. Antero Mountain, you can find tourmalines up on Antero Mountain.
Ron Creek, we don't drink wine on Tuesdays, only on Thursdays.
Right. Only for book club. Douglas Kugler, AGK as a pilot, Fenn must have been aware of the Rocky Mountains north of Santa Fe is truthful, but deceptive. That's not a question.
Nope. Toby is so thoughtful. Bought a truck for his team. Good guy. Yes, he is. He's so generous.
I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah.
We'll call it the Recon Crew Kit.
And you guys can watch us on Google Earth because it's bright red and you can see it.
Yeah, the first.
Toby could have bought a tour bus. That way he could take everybody, right?
Jimmy Fast. Hey, Jimmy Fast.
Hey.
Okay, scrolling down.
Timothy Alcar says, thanks, you too.
Okay, hold on. Okay, there.
Well, I was reading something above that, but
great.
that's okay. Love the show. Everybody loves us, so hooray. Have you already searched every square inch? No, we haven't.
What's the question? Love the show, thanks.
Is it worth it for someone to use your tips and search? Of course.
Some of the areas again.
They're huge areas.
How do I put this? If you took all the people who have been boots on the ground and have spent time searching, my guess is that they still haven't searched 90% of the potential potential search area, if you believe the search is in the Rocky Mountains from northern New Mexico to Montana. It's just too big a problem.
And we can all miss things. We go to an area and see if we can make the clues easily fit without having to really stretch, and if we can't, then we're done with that area and we move on.
AGK, at least you didn't have to buy gas in California. Yes, we bought
right?
it in New Mexico.
Or in Europe. Waffles? Who had waffles?
Waffles.
I don't know.
Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka.
Warm waffle halt.
Oh, okay. Warm waffles halt? Or warm waffles halt?
Is the place to be.
Oh.
I don't know. I think they're just being silly. A little tipsy kiss going on there.
I'm going to move your microphone. You're popping it. Just a little bit. Okay. There. Okay, scrolling down.
Okay.
No paddle up the creek, right? Because I think we're coming to the end.
No, you're fine. Leave it there.
Okay. Yeah, David Charles Davio. What we did is we've had each of the books transcribed and put into a Word document that helps us search that keyword helps us with the keyword problem.
I don't see anything.
AJK, did you see, what was that? Okay, scrolling up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to go up to Jason right there. Okay, seize the day. So that's as high as I can go. That's all there is.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So Forrest said by summer, I believe. August is in the fall.
No,
June,
the
no,
fall
August.
is the end of September, the
Right.
21st of
Fall
September.
starts, you're right.
Mhm. No, August is definitely summer.
Looking forward to hearing from Summer Solution. Topics covered. Let's see. Okay. Looks like you guys have run out of questions, so we're going to close down the chat. Well, not close down the chat. We're going to close down the chat.
El Porvenir is in the Santa Fe National Forest. Town is Montezuma.
Oh. What is El Porvenir? That's what I don't know. I don't know what El Porvenir
It's in the Santa Fe National Forest. It must just be like a campground or
location.
something.
Huh.
How many people signed up for the group show?
On May 9th.
May 9th. I don't know.
The last
have to
count
look
I
up.
had 20, but I haven't checked it since before we went. So
I'd
we
have
might
to
more.
check that, but we'll let you know as soon as we figure that out.
Yeah.
But it's around 20. And if you haven't signed up yet for the Fantastic Fan Appreciation event that's happening next week on Wednesday, May 9th at 7 p.m. And we do have a video out that gives you all the details of how to sign up for that and what it is. It'll be like a meet and greet. We'll all be online. We'll see each other's faces. We'll hear each other talking. And each of us will have a minute to say, who we are, where we're from, and what the chase has done for us in our lives. Yeah. So.
Okay, switching over. So let's go. Oops, let's do this.
Sometimes Toby has to sing to himself when he's running the switcher. All right.
Switching.
There we go.
Okay.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Hey, that's what's up.
That's what's
Okay,
up.
I'm going to run down this real quick. So here's what's going on with us the rest of the week. This afternoon at 5 p.m., we're going to have a live conversation with Cynthia Meacham on this subject of the journalist and Cynthia that has come up. It came up in her blog, and she spent a lot of time responding to the various questions that were asked about it. So I thought, well, let's just get her on board. We'll have a conversation about it, ask her some questions. The live chat will be open, so you'll be able to ask questions. Then we can go back to them after she speaks her piece. Should be about an hour at the most, but I thought we needed to do it, and she agreed to do that. We're gonna have her zoom in. Get it?
Zoom in.
At 5 p.m. this afternoon. Then tomorrow night we've got a panel with the infamous Troy Barlow on board as our guest. You'll see him in today's chat room as Why Must I Go? And we're going to talk about his new YouTube channel and maybe a little bit about his search solution and area, as much as he can give without revealing the details. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about the amount of media that's appearing right now. Now that happens at the end of every search, at the end of every, in between the search seasons.
Hibernation.
Yeah, it happens during hibernation, getting ready for the season. But this seems to be a big amount to me. And also, Forrest seems to be spreading the wealth. He's not communicating just with Jenny Kyle. He's communicating with Illinois Ghost. He's communicating with Chris Thor, et cetera, et cetera. So there's something going on. I don't know if it's different or there's something underlying it there. What I know about Fenn is that he does everything for a reason. And so we're going to talk about that as well tomorrow night. Then on Thursday we have, so Shelley's going to be gone. Why don't you tell them about your trip?
Oh, I'm going to be gone.
Tell them where you're going.
Kevin and I are driving to Starkville, Mississippi for our son-in-law to be. Will be graduating from university there on Friday, May 4th, which is not only Star Wars Day, but it's also Kevin and my 34th wedding anniversary and the day of his graduation. So it's a lot going on Friday. So may the 4th be with you. And we'll be back Sunday, and then so I'll be back next week. So, but I'll be posting pictures and little updates on my Instagram. So if you follow me there at Shelley Carney, I'll be posting there. And of course, my channel, The Softer Side, will continue on as normal. Everything's already in the hopper and ready to go.
So that means Shelley won't be here, and I count on her to be here for book club because she does all the underlying research, the psychological research on Fenn that's associated with his with the chapters in the book. So instead, what I've done is invited all the search tubers, the people who have YouTube
TM.
channels. Trademark that. So we invited. I'm inviting all the search tubers. That is anybody who has a YouTube channel or planning to have a YouTube channel that that they'd like to focus on which they want to focus on the search, and we're going to talk about the tools and features that YouTube provides you to control the trolls. And there's a variety of things, and it makes it easier because, like everything else on the internet, once you put yourself out there in a public way, you're going to get the crazies and
the haters.
So we're going to talk about the crazies
Yeah.
and the haters and how to control them. Okay, so that's just me. Shelley will be traveling, and it'll be about an hour long, and all I'm going to do is run through the features that YouTube provides to control that. And then I'm going to give you some advice from long time experience of being on the various social networks and producing YouTube channels, etc. And then on Friday at 1 p.m. we'll release another episode of another edition of Just the Facts. And I have a challenge for you. So in Just the Facts, Shelley surprises me with a question that I have a personal answer. I'm going to express my opinion. So if you have a question, open-ended question, that you think relates to the Fenn treasure search that you think I may have an opinion on, write it in there, and we'll pick one of them and use it in this episode's Just the Facts, so you guys can be a part of it as well, okay? Has to start with what, who, where, when, or how.
And try to make sure you don't ask a question we've already answered on a previous Just the Facts.
Right. So write those questions on the chat, and we'll pick one of them, and we'll use that for our Just the Facts episode this Friday, okay? I think, wait a minute, let me make sure.
And of course, he'll send out the next lineup for next week on Sunday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll do everything else that we normally do.
Yeah. So make sure you come back today at 5 o'clock to see Toby and Cynthia have a great conversation. And in the meantime, make sure you like this video with a thumbs up, share it with your social media, and be sure you subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications.
Both of when we release new videos and when the live stream starts.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe or follow us on Instagram at Gypsy Kiss. And we're always posting things, fun things there. And usually they'll end up on our Facebook page as well. If you need to contact us, please go ahead and email us at agypsieskiss@gmail.com. I prefer that you don't contact me on my personal page on Facebook because I don't use it very much, and I may not see your questions and I may not answer them. It's really, we're going to see it if you send it by Gmail at agypsieskiss@gmail.
Yeah, we've discovered that people are sending messages to us on Facebook, and we don't check that. Our focus is really the YouTube channel and our Gmail account. So if you want to communicate with us, do yourself a favor, use the Gmail, and I promise to get you an answer, even if the answer is I have no idea.
And of course, I'll be vacationing, so I won't even be looking at Facebook for a while.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here today and for all your great questions and comments. Thank you to our moderators for keeping our chat positive and healthy. And we love you all. And we will see you again next time on A Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog. I'm Shelley Carney. And then Toby is over here.
Okay, could you please, I'm totally screwed up because you didn't do I'm Shelley Carney, etc.
And I'm Shelley Carney.
But what are you saying?
With A Gypsy's Kiss, the vlog, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us this week. we'll see you this afternoon at 5 p.m. when we talk with Cynthia.